Hey friends, welcome to the next installment of the 31 Days of Samhain. I am coming to you from a different spot today because, as you know, I've had some tech issues, so I am downstairs. I am plugged in so I can go straight to our router and modem and hopefully upload this much easier for you guys. You've been so patient, so thanks for that. But in case you're wondering, Mel, where are you? I'm in the office downstairs. Which most people don't see because honestly it's not very organized, but like there's all my little stickers and things. I erased the whiteboard for you so it wouldn't be distracting. Picture of my brother up top, but yeah, we're in the office tonight. So I wanted to do just a really brief talk on the idea of the Bardo, the spiritual Bardo. You've probably seen, I know some people from Pathways, if they notice somebody on Facebook is passed or getting ready to pass away, that is, we will often say Blessed Bardo, which is the journey that a soul takes when it drops physical form and moves into the realm of the soul. So I want to talk about that just a little bit. The material that I'm going to share with you comes from the Astara Foundation out of California, begun by Robert and Earlene Cheney. Astara is a degreed system that a lot of the people that have been around Pathways anyway for a while used to take with Deborah when she was still here, and they would get together and they would discuss each of the books and the lessons that went through that. Now, Deborah believed very strongly in the idea of the Bardo, and it makes a lot of sense. The Bardo generally consists of three different phases, if you will. So the first phase, of course, is when someone is like right before someone passes away and they're getting ready to like drop that physical form, and they see the white light, and then typically there's a second white light. And then the second phase is when they see like scenes. You hear how people say they see scenes passing before their eyes when, you know, when you're close to death, or like perhaps you missed death, and you know, scenes start to pass before your eyes. So, and it's usually like the last moments that you've had on earth. Then there's also the third part of the Bardo journey, where it is more like the self-review. In some other spiritual traditions, I feel that you are judged by an outside entity. A lot of people in metaphysics believe that you are judging yourself more than being judged by an outside entity. So typically, depending on how much karma that person like incurred, they could get to that spot in the Bardo where they're feeling kind of alone. This is, of course, after they've died and they've moved into spirit. And, you know, they go through this process of self-judgment. And depending on how you as the individual judge yourself, the burning away of that karma from that lifetime could either be really fast or it could take a really long time. Some people pass through their Bardo really quickly, and others may take quite a while to kind of move through it. Typically, heavier energetics such as like revenge or hate, lower level stuff like that, takes a lot longer to move through that. A lot of this information about the Bardo experience, like I said, came from the Astara group, and through near-life death experiences, people have brought this information back over time. Deborah, our founder of Pathways, actually had 2 near-death experiences, and both times she saw the white light, and, you know, she saw some of these similar things that we discuss in the Bardo journey. There's a lot more of this that's covered in the class on death and dying, which that class will actually talk to you more about how to conduct yourself spiritually while you're alive in order to make your Bardo experience a lot easier and truthfully a lot more meaningful. Now there's several things that are attached to that class besides just like the Bardo journey, like exercises you can do, things like that. Also touches on the idea of people that die by suicide. It's typically believed that someone who dies by suicide will not be able to like pass on into their next incarnation until everyone that was affected by that suicide essentially drops form and moves into spirit. So that's a lot of unresolved issues before that person can move into that next phase or next reincarnation of their life. So, of course, there's a lot of different beliefs out there as far as how death occurs, and how it affects our soul and things like that. But basically, overall, being in contact with Source, however you view Source, it doesn't matter what you call it, focusing on the white light, trying to do the best you can in life in general, is all going to help you out as far as when it comes to going towards that Bardo journey. We often, especially around this time of year, especially reflected with the 31 days of Samhain, we talk about the Bardo journey because people remember those ancestors. So we have an altar set up here at work where you can write the names of your ancestors down. And anytime we do that, it's always sending like a bit more healing to those folks in spirit, because sometimes people are like really trapped in that last phase of that Bardo journey for a really long time, especially if they are self-deprecating or feel like they were horrible people, or they feel like they didn't live up to what they were supposed to live up to. So it's really important for us to still continue to send energy to those that have passed on, because just like when we're on this side of the veil in physical form, we're working on our stuff and they are working on their stuff on the finer planes. So often we have folks that come into the store and they're like, oh, so-and-so just died, their grandparent or parent just died, and they want to talk to somebody who's clairvoyant because they want to speak to this person that just passed. And that's generally not a good idea. When people drop their form and move into spirit, they're still kind of trying to get their feet underneath them. So we usually recommend that you don't attempt to talk to people that have passed until they've been gone for probably about 6 months. I would say 3 to 6 months, depending on the person. Because again, just like I said, they have stuff they're working on the other side too. Just because they've dropped the body doesn't mean that they're not still learning and still evolving as a soul. So that's kind of the Bardo in a nutshell. That, and we talk about it this time of year because it's Samhain and it's all about transition, and we talk about death a lot. A lot of folks, once they experience metaphysics, are much less fearful of death. A lot of us still are not real big on I don't want a painful death. That scares me. But the idea of dropping form and moving into spirit is not as scary, I think, for those that are into metaphysics as those who don't have a belief system, so to speak. And I realize that's kind of a broad and sweeping stroke, but it's just kind of a generalization. Of course, nothing is 100%. So that's our little talk on the Bardo today. I know it's a little bit shorter for you guys, but I felt it was important to address it because sometimes people are like, what is a Bardo? What are you talking about when you say that? So when we say blessed Bardo after someone has passed, it's with the intention of sending them energy and wishing a peaceful passage for them as they move through that self-judgment of their own soul. So thanks again. I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next 31 days of Samhain. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Bye.